context where entrepreneurship, innovation, and business purpose are at the center of the conversation, EADA Business Schools turned its annual gathering into more than just an academic event. This year, the annual EADA Annual Meeting 2026 becomes What Matters Fest, a festival of ideas that brings together talent, experiences, and new ways of understanding leadership in a changing environment. A space designed to connect, learn, and share, where employability, artificial intelligence, and sustainability coexist with real stories from those building projects from scratch. In this setting, we speak with two entrepreneurs who are part of this new generation that seeks not only to create businesses, but also impact. Two journeys that reflect the challenges, doubts, and opportunities of entrepreneurship today, helping us understand what it really means to take ideas matter. Alex Torras, CEO and co-founder of UNIFIT, Arturo J, co-founder of STUDENTFY and CampusWise, welcome to Studio 22.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To begin with, a common question for both of you. When and why did you decide to become entrepreneurs? What pushed you to take that step?
Well, in my case, it wasn't really like a moment that I said, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur. I did some, I remember when I was a kid, I was like making websites. I tried to make, I started making websites very early about games that I was playing. So that was my first contact with building something. But then I studied translation and interpreting, so I wanted to be an interpreter, not an entrepreneur. Then I discovered EADA, and I joined a program because I like consulting. So I didn't think about entrepreneurship. But then I was here, and while I was studying, I saw a need. I saw something that I liked, and I felt like I'm very competitive. This looked like a very good challenge. So I went for it, and I started while I was studying EADA.
Great. Well, we'll get to know how did you discover that moment point. And what about you, Alex?
Well, the same. It's not like a decision, it's a consequence of different things, no? In my case, I was a student of a business school, university, and you start moving there, you start like trying new things there, and one day you realize and you look back and you say, wow, you have 40 people working in your company, and it's like you don't have like a super prepared scenarios. You are like just trying to solve small problems, and this is what thing works in my case.
Because you, Alex, you come from a rather unusual combination of business, creativity, and the influence of Ferran Adrià. So at what point did you decide that your path would be about transforming the university experience?
Yeah, well, I studied business administration in a business school. Then I studied a executive master in Elisava. It's a design school here in Barcelona. And one of the mentors of this master is Ferran Adrià. I stayed like 3 weeks in Cala Montjuïc, where Ferran Adrià had the Bulli restaurant.
Oh, yes.
And there I learned a lot of things about Ferran, but there's one thing that I think it's super interesting. And they always say that the real innovation, it's not about adding more things. It's about rethinking from zero, what something is actually for. And I try to apply this to education ecosystem, and this is why I started with UNIFIT.
Okay, so in your case, you are turning this university student relationship into a, let's say, strategic asset. So what are the education institutions doing wrong today that make you think there was a business opportunity there?
Well, I think that during these years, they digitalize a lot of process, a lot of technology appears in the ecosystem of universities. They have CRMs, LMS, ERPs, like big companies, no? But the students feels lost, feels like alone, disconnected from the university. So I think that this technology is growing so fast, no, and advancing so fast, and I think that we are not aware of the impact that we generate to our ecosystem, and sometimes we don't think like about the experience of the students. We just focus as a university to solve our internal processes, and that's the only the output that we expect, no, and no, we don't think about the relation with the students.
And Arturo, Barceloning, STUDENTFY, each state has its own story. What lessons have you taken from each one?
Well, they started pretty much, I mean, they separated afterwards. At first, I didn't even know what I was building. I just had an idea, and I started just trying and pivoting, and I changed 200 times what I was building. That's part of the every entrepreneurship journey. Barcelona, the question was about the key takeaways, right?
So, I mean, for you, in your sense, what's the lesson that you take? I mean,
So,
it's very,
so for
simplistic
example,
question, but
Barcelona, I would say that Barcelona, for those who don't know, it's just a website where you can sign up for events. It's something that is not, what I learned is that people say, okay, you want to build something, you have to be 10 times better than your competitor. We are not. It's actually it's a commodity with low entry barriers. And what we did, we were able, having the same or similar product, by doing marketing better and trying to build trust with the customer. I think that's the way we differentiate ourselves. You don't always need a product that is 10 times better to make a profitable business. I would say that's what I learned. And with STUDENTFY, it's a little bit similar. The importance of community. We proud ourselves, and we actually. We really stick to it, to put in always student value in front of everything. So we could have made deals with brands that were better monetarily but were worse for students. So we always put the students in front, which is something that is hard to do sometimes because you need money. And we did that. We managed to, that reflects on the trust that we were able to build, the rapport that we have with the students, and that's how we were able to build STUDENTFY, and it pays off because they're loyal to us, we're loyal to them, and that's the key takeaway, the importance of community.
And then 11 years later, you decide to start again, right, with CampusWise. What was the reason?
I mean, I always saw, well, after 10 years plus 11 years doing the same, now, I mean, you want to kind of stay on top of the wave. The wave now is AI. I think this is a generational opportunity. We have never seen something like this. It's insane what's happening and how our lives is going to change in the next 10 years. So I want to take part in that. And then there's a need that has to do with communication, how companies manage communications with their customers, that until 10 years ago, until 5 years ago, the technology was not ready to really revolutionize how they manage communications. And now the tech is ready, and yeah, we want to just ride the wave. Yeah.
Great. So,
well, something else, because since I bootstrapped the first two companies, I always had the little curiosity to go for a company that can go global also. Do a financing rounds and grow. I already did the bootstrap, and it's really hard. I don't want to go through that again. Okay. So I'm gonna.
Yeah, actually, the next question was about asking you, both of you, Alex and Arturo. You've built projects, right, in those different contexts that Arturo was explaining. So in your case, what was the key to building these sustainable businesses from the start, especially without relying too much on external funding? So over to you, Alex.
Yeah, well, I started bootstrapping my own company, UNIFIT, but then after 3 years, I said, okay, enough. No, it's so hard, and I start doing the paths of venture capital company. I'm like a traditional startup where we have fundings of VC funds. It's not as cool as bootstrapping. It's complicated because you have like a boss where 3 times in a year comes to your office and say, okay, you have to do this, and this, and okay, and thank you for your advice, but this is so complicated, no? So I think that it's a consequence of so many things, and you have to choose the best, or try to choose the best next step for your startup, and be aware of the consequence that you will have, no, by choosing these paths. But this is my case.
Yeah. And what about you then, Arturo?
I mean, yeah, there is no perfect way. All you have to do is see where you're at, where you want to be, and what is the best way to get there. So there's no perfect formula. Sometimes you will need extra funding, sometimes you will not. The key takeaway, the best way to make sustainable companies, try to think 3 times before spending any euro. Be super cautious on what you spend with hiring, with resources, everything, of course. And then choose an idea that you can monetize quickly, that you don't need a lot of investment to make a first MVP. Something, I mean, if you don't have external funding and you need to have money coming in, so you cannot have a runway of 10 months before you start seeing the first euro. So find something that you can monetize quickly and be super careful with how you spend your resources, manage costs and everything.
Because in your cases, both of you, as I understand, your early ventures coincide with your time as you were students. So how was those first steps like? How would you manage to be a student and at the same time kind of starting up your own business? How was that like?
Horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I was doing the master's here. I was reading my, 5 hours of cases and then preparing for everything. And then I had meetings with my team, the stable group, this and that. And then on top of that, I was chasing, making a business plan, trying to go to school in the morning, then try to see how can I apply this I was trying to meet with my professors. I remember Jaume Boneda, Nigel Hayes. They were all like really supportive at the beginning. So I was very lucky that I had the first 500 or 400 customers, which were my class, my whole school. They supported me a lot, so I was able to validate fast what worked and what not. And also the network of professors. We have really valuable professors with entrepreneurship experience that I learned a lot from. So it was hectic. It was no glamour at all. Just making mistakes after mistake after mistake, but in the end, it could have not worked out, but in the end we managed to make it work out.
It turned out very well, I believe. Okay, what about you, Alex?
Well, same, but I was in my exchange year, my first year as a founder, so I traveled 2 days per week from Praga to Barcelona, trying to start the company, start the startup. But I think that the university, it's the perfect scenario because you have all the ingredients that you need as a founder, no? As an entrepreneur, you have professors that are super reference for you as entrepreneurs. You have the other students, and you can help each other, no? To try new things, to change the things that is not working well. So I think that it's not the best way because you have to be not full-time student. It's a full life dedicated time, but I think that the ingredients are perfect.
Entrepreneurship also means knowing how to reinvent yourself. So what drives you to start new projects after all those years of experience? How that's the way you approach now entrepreneurship, change over time? Is it different, your style?
Well, I think it's easier than ever to start something. So that's now, if you want to start something 20 years ago, people compare now AI with the boom of the internet. It's not the same. Now anyone can make a company on a website. I started using a couple of weeks ago Cloud Code, and it's insane what you can do. It's really, when I look back that I paid so much money for technical developments and took 6 months of pain and crying and back and forth, and now you can do it in 2 days without technical experience, and you just need a CTO to finalize, make sure it's working. Now it's a lot easier, so it's like the perfect time, the best time in history to start your own thing. So I encourage everyone to try it and do it.
Okay, so we are experiencing this boom of artificial intelligence, and I can see that you're really keen into implementing it. But do you see any noise and then value somewhere?
I mean, there's for sure. I see the opportunities are AI has allowed us to process data, insane amount of data, fast, like industries where you need to process a lot of that data. Like for example, I saw a company. They're actually, I think, based in Barcelona, yours. They process like a history of clinical trials to try to speed up the process from the whole. It takes 10 years to have a medicine from the moment you start to the moment it's actually deliverable to patients.
Yeah.
So they're working on that. So all the industries that manage a massive amount of data, or that like what we're doing with CampusWise, where you want to personalize like customer care and attention, personalized messages at a massive scale. This is something that you can speak in their language and you can personalize it, and you know everything about that person because you have a database. So data processing, massive opportunity. I think there's people that sell that you can already like that. There, I see some smoke in when they say that you can. They promise to be able to replace the person entirely for complicated decisions. I think the technology is not yet there. You cannot replace the human yet. It will eventually happen, and I don't know what's going to happen when that time comes. But yeah, there's definitely smoke, but massive opportunities.
Okay, Alex, keen to listen to your perspective on this.
Yeah, I agree with Arturo. So it's much more easier to like start creating an MVP with Cloud Code. It's insane. I agree. I started using like 2-3 weeks ago, and wow, I was really, really surprised. But you have to think that the other people can use at the same time. So you have much more competence because it's not about ideas, because ideas you can create the MVP in few days. So you have different people who can create the same as you and can copy. So this thing is, I think it's really important. And I think that this part of data, it's important to try to like use in a way to improve the relation with the people, no? In the educational system, for example. If you want just to optimize like cost or margins as a company, the relation with the students in university scenario, it's not very, very good. So you have to try to use this data to improve things, not to just think about cost or think about margins.
Mm-hmm. And after years of entrepreneurship, there's been surely important mistakes. What was the toughest one for each of you, and what changed as a result?
I don't know if I can name one, but it's one there are two repetitive ones that I've done over and over again, which is try, for example, to develop something without doing the proper research before. So we have released a lot of functionalities that nobody used. So it was just because I thought it was cool. I thought, oh yeah, people will like this. Spend money, time developing stuff that then nobody use. The amount of money that I've wasted is important. But yeah, it is what it is. So I would say not validating an idea properly, substantially before going into development. And also something that I always say, you have to, when you're building something, the importance is to iterate fast, get feedback and iterate. And also with teams. So I've made a mistake a lot of times that I have someone that doesn't perform in a team, but I have a good relationship with them, so I tend to keep them in the team instead of firing them. And that's not because you say, okay, you're going to give more opportunities, but in the end, if you have someone that is not performing in your team, that's not good for you, but it's also not good for them. You have a fish trying to run, you have to send a fish to a swimming pool. Not to the sea, not the swimming pool. but yeah, so that's learn to fire fast, that iterate and validate before you build.
Okay. And what about you,
Yeah,
Alex?
same as Arturo, and I will add that you will never have to forget to sell your product when you are in an early stage company, because it's never perfect, the product. You always see things to improve and invest in product, and you have to be careful in that stage, because the amount of money that you have to spend to improve your product, it's 5 years ago, it's huge amount, no? But you have to sell this product, because if not, you are always investing in improving, and the runway, it's closer every day, you know?
Yeah.
So you have to be careful there.
And then many young people want to launch now their own startup, but don't know where to get started. Based on your experience, what advice would you give them without idealizing the process, of course? Alex.
Whatever.
Advice, well, I think that you have to be constant, like working every day, like trying to just continue with your like focus on the objectives, no? So I think, well, it's difficult to give advice to someone, but I think that here in Barcelona you have a huge ecosystem or entrepreneur ecosystem. So you have to take advantage of that, no? Of that ecosystem, Barcelona Activa, the business schools. You have a lot of platforms and a lot of ecosystems that helps you to start and starting doing the first steps. So you have, I think that you have to like search these platforms and take advantage of them.
What I would say is definitely find something you really like and you really enjoy doing, because entrepreneurship is not pretty. You see the top, you see the people in the news that close the round, but you don't see the cemetery of startups that don't make it to the round and they just die. And you spend a year and a half or 2 years or 5 years working in something, earning no salary maybe, for nothing. Well, not for nothing, you learn how not to do it. So yeah, it's not pretty. So definitely find something you really like, because it's gonna be tough. And if on top of that you're doing something that you don't love, that you're not very passionate about, you're gonna hate it or you're gonna quit. So it's already tough. So find something you really like. And yeah, I mean, you're not gonna make probably in most of the cases, 90% of the cases, you're gonna make less money than working corporate. So don't do it for the money as well. That's very important. Do it for the passion. If it goes well, be happy. If it goes bad, be happy as well. Either iterate or go corporate, but be happy. Don't regret anything. Just go full speed.
Yeah, that's experience. In your day-to-day work, how do you go from an idea to a product that the market is actually willing to pay for?
I would say first find something that find a problem that you think is there, that you know maybe, then validate it with real users, people that actually live that problem, that experience it, get feedback from them, then try to build the fastest MVP, the minimum thing that you think someone would pay for, go fast, and then get feedback from real users on what's happening and iterate. Those 4 things. Don't base your like I said before, don't base the changes, don't base what you do on suppositions. Mm-hmm. Get real feedback from real users and iterate fast. They make your iteration loops as short as possible. If you can change something in 2 days, much better. If you can say it in 10 minutes, that would be ideal. But don't have like a 6 months feedback loop, because it's gonna be too especially now that you have to move. Everyone has the tools. So yeah, that would be my take.
What about you? Any thoughts on this?
I think that Arturo explained it perfect. It's like iterate, change small things and try fast with your audience, with your clients, and then you will start like improving the product and selling this product. Is what I said before. It's important to sell what you create.
And in the field of education, which both of you know well, what do you think many institutions are still doing wrong when it comes to communicating with the students?
I think schools, and I think Alex will agree with me, I think schools are very slow when it comes to adopting technology. They have a very long sales cycle, they're bureaucratic, and they move very slow. It would be great if they were more prone to I think they're not extracting all the potential of the technology that's around. They're still, I mean, they will. I think it's a matter of not if they will do it, but when, because there's one thing that for me is clear, is that everyone will be using more AI in 10 years than now. I don't think anyone will say no. So I think that's something they're doing wrong. They're not, they're still very risk averse, which is understandable because of what they do. The trust, implementing something wrong can do more damage than it can bring value. But I think they should be a little bit more open to yeah, I mean, it's a technical revolution, and we cannot, if you want to build a future, you cannot operate like 10 years ago. Do you agree with him?
Yeah, I agree. I think that there are two institutions that are very traditional. It's the church and the universities. They live for so many years, and so they are slow, but they survive to all the changes in the humanity, and the technology. So I think that in education, the B2B sell, it's super related with trust. You have to build this trust with the institution. You have no error margin. So I think that one advice that I give to the entrepreneurs, or person who want to start their own company, it's to choose the best sector that fits with you, and you have to be aware of the timings, that this sector has, because if not, you will be desperate. Yeah.
And if you were 20 years old today and starting from scratch, which sector would you choose to start your business today? AI. Okay.
Yeah, there's no discussion.
AI,
it's a generational opportunity.
All right. So looking ahead, how do you imagine the relationship between educational institutions and students in 10 years?
Well, when it comes to, for example, what we do, I think AI enables a lot of personalization. Like now you can have a very good conversational agent. You can answer to students in their own language, know all the context, all the messages that they have exchanged, their situation, their grades. So you can really personalize the experience, the student journey, answer instantly. So I think we're gonna see institutions implementing AI and implementing technology to improve the communication, and then leaving, and it's not replacing the human. How I see it is that all the low value, repetitive interactions that are happening now, and then a human has to be there copy pasting the answer, that brings no value. You're just wasting a brain there copy pasting an answer. I think AI will improve these low value conversational interactions, and then the human will have more time to actually take care of the important matters, the ones that you really need a human, that right now are buried under all the low value repetitive interactions. So it'll be more time for humans to build trust, build rapport with the students, so that will be better for everyone. There will be faster answers, more personalized care, more human time for important things. The student that is thinking about dropping out, that cannot be solved by an AI. That has to be a human who gives support, who's there for you. So I think it's going to be a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, well, I checked like 2 weeks ago this question with my crystal ball called Cloud. And they answer just like this, I think that the students will design their own academic path. But at the end of this technology, AI, I think that university, they have strong competitive advantage, that is the relations with the rest of the persons that are in the institution with you, professors, the students. And I think that this part, AI can never replace. So I think that we have to take this and have this in mind.
The humans matters. Alex Torras, Arturo Gil, thank you both for sharing your stories and insights, particularly on a day like today, as part of the EADA annual meeting. What matters first? We hope you leave with some new ideas, new questions, and maybe the motivation to start something on your own. This has been Studio 22 as part of the EADA annual meeting. What matters first? See you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.